Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got a unique thing. It's a polymer club, so you grab it like this and then, now actually, in all seriousness, it's a Henry AR-7 survival rifle. And what you're seeing is it in the stored condition. So it basically just looks like a rifle stock. In this condition, it's 17 inches long, 6 inches tall at the highest point, and about 2 3/4 inches thick. So it's not all that thick. And the purpose of this is to be able to put it in a backpack or store it very conveniently so that you don't take up a lot of space for something that you're not going to use a lot, you know, the whole concept of the survival rifle. Sometimes you also hear it just called the U.S. survival rifle, and this has gone through a few different generations from the, the original AR-7 that really was designed for the military, primarily pilots and things like that, to have a survival rifle. And there's gone through a few generations of other companies making it. This is the original Henry, but this is one of the newer ones. So let's get into taking it apart. The whole rifle actually stores in the buttstock, and this little cover is actually watertight and the thing will float. Now I haven't actually tested the watertight nature of it, but it fits on there pretty tight. And it comes off with no tools. And then inside there, you'll see you have the barrel, the receiver, and 2 magazines. So it does come with 2 magazines, but you can buy additional magazines, and these little magazines hold 8 rounds. Now that is the lowest capacity of any of the 22s that are out there, but the concept behind it is so that they'll fit in the buttstock, and then also, when you pull the receiver out, one fits in the receiver and fits flush. So you can actually store a total of 3 magazines in here, and you can store loaded magazines. The only thing I would be very careful of is this one. The one that you put in the receiver you might want to have unloaded, because different jurisdictions have different variations of what they consider loaded. They'll have, phrases like, a magazine loaded in the receiver or grip. So having the magazine loaded, even though the gun's taken apart and can't possibly function, might end up, as a concealed weapon. So this one you might want to keep unloaded. You're going to have to take a few steps to get it put together anyway. But the other 2, you could very easily carry loaded, and then load the 3rd one, as you need, but you at least have it. You have it with you. Putting it together is fairly simple. You do want to take the magazine out, which the magazine releases this little serrated lever. And even though it has kind of got little teeth on it and a little bit serrated, I've never been bitten by it. Your finger is far enough back that you're not really near it, and even if you do hit it, there's minimal recoil, so I've never had it bite or scratch me. Here's the barrel, and it does have a nice bright blade sight. It's not fiber optic, but it's bright plastic. Get that 3rd magazine out too. You can see down in here all the areas for storage. So it's well designed with little cubby holes to grip everything, and everything does tend to stay put except the barrel will slide around, but once the cap is on it stays put. But this bright sight is actually pretty easy to see, and the rear sight is 2 peeps. And you can rotate this around. Now, I don't do the best with peep sights, so we did find that this gun is capable of being shot accurately, but with the peep sights it's a little more difficult, sometimes seeing your target, but that front sight stands right out, real easy to see. Now putting it together is fairly easy. Pull the bolt back a little bit, line up the notch, and there's a little pin. Get it to line up. You can see there's the chamber. And then there's a notch at the top. So you just line it up, and there's a little pin right here that's the alignment. Line it up, make sure that the pin is in place, and tighten the barrel nut down. Now you do want to tighten the barrel nut down tight, but you're not wanting to tighten it for life. You don't ever want to use tools on it. Just the strength of your hand, go down until it's snug, so that the barrel doesn't wobble. And now you have an assembled receiver and barrel. Now you can optionally put the receiver into the stock first and then put the barrel on. You can do it whichever way you want, but then this just slides in like this, and there's a screw under here that you just turn. And it does take a few turns to get it to go, and like the barrel, you're just going to turn it till it's snug. You're not trying to tighten it for life. And now you have an assembled, ready to function AR-7. Now in this condition it's 35 inches long. So it's, meets all the requirements to be a normal rifle. There's no NFA. It's not a short barrel rifle, because when it's in the disassembled state, the chamber is in the barrel. So there's no way to fire it at all in that disassembled state. So you don't have a chamber in the receiver that could be then considered able to fire. So when it's disassembled, it's parts. When it's assembled in the only condition in which it can function, it's long enough to be just a regular bore and load rifle. It's not particularly expensive. MSRP goes from around $305 to $360-ish. The higher priced ones are the camo versions. It comes in two different camo versions. This is the black one. But they can be routinely gotten for under $250 without a problem. And the front sight, as you can see here, is dovetailed. I'm not aware of any replacement sights. That orange sight really stands out, so unless you were shooting a lot at orange targets, you probably would have limited desire to change it. They also sell this in like a survival pack that comes with a backpack and some other survival gear, some paracord and stuff like that. And those MSRP around $550, and of course can be had a little less expensively, but they're not as readily available. You don't see them as often. There's the bolt action right there. You pull this out, pull it back, or push it forward to store. This can be a little bit annoying. It has a tendency to, as you're firing it, want to go all the way in. There's nothing that locks it out. And you can actually see that when I pulled it out, just sitting there, it worked its way back in. So you find yourself, when you want to manually cycle it, having to pull this back out. It's a minor annoyance. I understand why. It's so that it stays flat, so that you can actually store this thing in stock. But if I had to say what would be an annoyance, that was probably the only annoyance using this thing. And then back here you have the safety. It's a little thumb switch. You can easily operate with your thumb. You just bring your thumb over and operate it. We had no problems with the safety. We didn't find ourselves turning the safety on or off by accident, anything like that. And then it does have a rail if you wanted to mount an optic on it. Keep in mind though, if you put an optic on it, you're not going to be able to put it in the buttstock. So you'd either have to leave it assembled as a rifle, or you would have to take the optic off to put it away and find some other way to store the optic. So even though you can do that, it does sort of defeat the purpose of this. Now, as rifles go, it does seem to be very high quality despite being minimalist. So it's real lightweight, it's real thin, it's made of aluminum, but it's done well, and the barrel, of course, is coated steel. The purpose of this, to be light, easy to carry, easy to store, but what you're trading, of course, is robustness versus the ability to easily handle it, conceal it, carry it, and manipulate it. One of the things we did find, we've got two of these things, and we found that one of them right out of the box, actually the one with the earlier serial number, it just worked right out of the box. The other one, the newer one, was a little bit twitchy initially, but as we ran it, it got stable. We did find this didn't particularly like the hollow point CCIs, but the CCIs and even the M22, which a lot of rifles don't like, these would feed. So when you get one, plan to spend a little time at the range with it, run it a little bit, clean it and oil it, and you'll break it in a little bit before you just throw it in your pack and hope it works. Overall, it's a really good choice. It's really light, and it's just kind of a perfect survival style rifle. So let me take it back apart and show you how easy it is to get it apart. Pull it up and just pull the bolt back a little bit, take tension off it, and then unscrew it. And again, you shouldn't be needing tools. If you're needing tools and you're kind of not doing it right, pull the barrel off, or you could pull the receiver out of the stock first, either way. Flip it over, unscrew this. Now as you begin to unscrew it, the stock and the receiver are going to kind of get twitchy with each other. And of course, this moving hand is kind of confusing the camera a little bit. And then they slide apart. Once you slide it apart, pull the buttstock off, which it's much easier to pull it off from the bottom, even though it does stick, actually not the buttstock, but the butt pad. This is the only thing that's a little difficult, just getting this to pop off. But then you just put one of the magazines, empty of course, in, slide the receiver in. Oops. You have to make sure that that's down flush. Put your magazines in. Get them the right way. And slide. There's a little notch that the sight goes in. You got to line that up. And then slide this back on. And now you're reassembled. And this does grip well. it's not likely to fall out. So you might think, well, why would I want this? There's a lot of other takedowns out there. For example, I've got this Ruger 1022 takedown, which is a much more robust rifle, nicer sights, flash hider, and 10 rounds and 10 or more rounds. You can do the banana magazines in it. So why would I choose the Henry over something like this for a similar price? Well, it comes down to size. If I take the Ruger and I set it side by side, let's do them back to back. You can see how much shorter. So I got them flush back to back. You can see how much shorter they are. So I couldn't put almost an entire fist in the front of the AR-7 and just not even quite reach the end of the 1022. You might think, well, that's not bad. That's only 3 or 4 inches. But I still have to deal with this. I've still got to put the barrel somewhere. So what you end up with is a lot more bulk. Whereas in less space than just the receiver and stock part of the Ruger, I have the ability to store the entire survival rifle, barrel, magazines, everything. So that's where this really comes into play. If you've got room, or you're looking for a robust rifle, or you're looking for a range rifle, something like the Ruger is probably a better choice. If you're truly looking for something that is exactly what it says, a survival rifle, something you're not going to use all the time, but you need to have available and you don't want it to consume all your space, then this is something that really kind of comes into play. Now it does fit into most backpacks, and we've got a Rush 12 backpack, so I'm going to pause the video and let it get that backpack out, show you what it looks like going into that backpack. Here you see it. This is a 511 Tactical Rush 12, which is really kind of meant as a day bag, get home bag type size. And it's got MOLLE and a number of other capabilities, lots of pockets and pouches. But of course, this review is not about this bag. Yeah, we will be doing a review later on this. But you can see the survival rifle fits in here and leaves a lot of room for other stuff. And there's still a pouch at the back. So this, the ability to just kind of drop this into a bag that you can then easily close up and carry, and not have it become so heavy that only a beast could carry it. That's where this comes into play. And when you take a bag like this, you wouldn't even have to open the whole bag. You could just unzip the top. And then bags like this have various pockets at the back. And this one actually has Premier Body Armor Tactical. It's a bulletproof pad that is designed to fit this bag. And they make them to fit multiple other bags. We'll be talking about this and the whole get home bag that we're creating with this in future videos. But that's what the purpose of this rifle is. It's not to be a range rifle or a all-out hunting rifle, but a survival rifle. You got a bad guy that's giving you a hard time and you just want to keep his head down, or it is a 22, which is is capable of doing some harm. Or small game if you were backpacking and you ended up stranded or lost, small game for eating or defense. That's the purpose of this thing. So if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget to check that bell if you subscribe, and check us out on Facebook and Patreon. Thank you.